Each year on Anzac Day, we come together at dawn to commemorate the Anzac spirit. We recognise the commitment of all who have served, men and women, near and far, in war and at times of peace. This year marks the 75th anniversary of the Korean War, as well as the 75th anniversary of Australia's involvement in the Malayan emergency. The world had only just emerged from the brutality and destruction of the Second World War when on the 25th of June 1950, North Korean forces crossed the 38th parallel and invaded the South. The nascent United Nations called upon member states to support South Korea defend itself, and Australia was one of the first nations to answer that call. At the Battle of Kapyong in April 1951, the 3rd Battalion Royal Australian Regiment engaged the advancing Chinese 118th Division. After the withdrawal of South Korean forces, the Australians, alongside Canadian, New Zealand and American forces, held their position in the Kapyong Valley during 2 days of intense fighting, ultimately delaying China's progress towards Seoul and preventing the capture of the city. 3 RAR and their Canadian counterparts, the 2nd Battalion Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, were awarded United States Presidential Unit citations for their extraordinary heroism and outstanding performance of combat duties. To date, 3 RAR is one of only 3 Australian units to be recognised with this honour. The Korean armistice was agreed on the 27th of July 1953. Over 17,000 Australians from the Navy, Army and Air Force served in the Korean War, and tragically, 340 never returned home. At the same time as the war in Korea, Australia also committed forces to the Malayan emergency to support the United Kingdom respond to attacks by the Malayan National Liberation Army. In 1950, the Royal Australian Air Force was deployed to transport personnel and stores across the country, as well as conduct bombing raids and support ground operations against the Communist forces. From 1955, the Royal Australian Navy contributed to operations with the Commonwealth Far East Strategic Reserve. These ships performed an essential and often overlooked function. Their coastal patrols prevented insurgents from supplying weapons or infiltrating personnel via the sea, and their naval bombardments significantly limited the communist viable transport routes and camps. In the same year, Australian soldiers were also deployed alongside British and New Zealand troops to support ground operations, tasked with disrupting enemy supply lines, ambushing communist camps and securing local villages. They embarked on extensive patrols across dense jungles, swamps and mountains to locate, isolate and capture insurgents. By the early 1960s, the threat from the communist insurgency had been negated. However, to support the newly independent government, Australian soldiers remained in Malaysia until 1963. The Navy maintained a regional deterrent presence throughout the confrontasi, and the Air Force continued to administer RAAF Base Butterworth until 1970. Sadly, 39 Australians lost their lives during the conflict, and 27 more were wounded. At that time, the Malayan emergency was Australia's longest ongoing military commitment. While these are 2 vastly different experiences of service, Korea and Malaya remind us of Australia's historic and ongoing commitment to the security of our region. At a time of considerable international instability, these campaigns demonstrated the adaptability, professionalism and resolve of the Australian Defence Force. As we remember their stories, we should also reflect on the Anzac spirit we carry forward today. Your service, in defence of our nation and way of life, and the vital support of your families and communities is an honourable exemplar of the Anzac legacy. Lest we forget.